Good evening, Professor William Scheibas, the new chair for the Commission Inquiry to Gaza. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Shall we say congratulations?
Perhaps.
Mr. Scheibas, a year ago you said that your favorite person to stand in front of the International Criminal Court is Prime Minister Netanyahu, not President Assad of Syria, not Hamas leader Khaled Mashal. You said Netanyahu. Can you explain why?
We were having a discussion about the International Criminal Court and the fact that the International Criminal Court had focused all of its attention on African countries. I had referred to a statement by Archbishop Tutu where he had said Tony Blair should be brought before the International Criminal Court to show that it can deal with Western countries as well as with countries from the South, and particularly from Africa. And so I said, well, my favorite would be Netanyahu. I was, of course, echoing what was in the Goldstone report, which is that the International Criminal Court should deal with the conclusions of the Goldstone report, concluding the possibility that war crimes and crimes against humanity were committed during Operation Cast Lead. But as you know, the International Criminal Court never did address those matters. So that was the context of my comment.
Professor Scheibas, you also said that you think President Peres should stand for a trial in front of the ICC. So you, as a professor for international law, would you recommend your client, after hearing such comments, to cooperate with such an investigation?
I think this is a great exaggeration of some of the statements. I expressed opinions about political leaders in Israel in the past. Is there a human being in Israel who's never expressed political opinions about leaders in Israel? What someone who sits in a commission or as a judge has to be able to do is to put these things behind them and start fresh. And this is, of course, what I intend to do.
Professor Scheibas, do you plan to investigate Hamas crimes as well? Are you really able to investigate a terror organization who threatened his own people?
I cannot tell you what the Commission is going to do in terms of interpreting its mandate because I'm only one member and I haven't had a meeting with the other commissioners. We will have to agree on the interpretation.
By the way, do you consider Hamas a terror organization?
It would be inappropriate for me to answer a question like that, given what I said earlier about having to start basically with a blank sheet and start to study this question in as neutral and objective a manner as possible.
So you can say it's a terror organization?
I'm telling you it would be inappropriate for me, given my position.
Professor Scheibas, I'll ask it again. Why Israel should cooperate with your delegation?
I think it's very important for Israel to cooperate. The allegations, the specific allegations, have a great deal to do with the use of force, the targeting and the proportionality of the targeting, the identification of military objectives. Israel's already spoken to this. It's in the public domain. Israel has made statements saying, first of all, we're acting in self-defense about the Hamas rockets. And when we use force in Gaza, Israel's position is that it is proportionate and that it is not targeting civilians. These are matters of public record. Now, it's one thing to say that as a broad statement. It's another thing to look at individual cases and see whether that's actually accurate. It's in Israel's interest to be there in that discussion and to give its version of the events. If it doesn't, then that leaves an unfortunate, one-sided picture of it.
The U.S. Army attack in Iraq nowadays, the Russian attack in Chechnya, the NATO forces in Libya, thousands of innocent civilians were killed in these conflicts. Not a single international investigation. Israel has 2 in 6 years. In both cases, Israel acts in self-defense. Isn't it double standards, Professor?
You know, there are lots of double standards in the United Nations and lots of double standards at the international level. And as I explained, the fact that there haven't been inquiries into some atrocities, into some areas of violent conflict in the world, is explained by the political balances and the relative strength of the powers. And that's a very unfortunate situation, but it's a fact of life. And different crises and different countries fare differently depending on where they are. Many people think there's a double standard in the United Nations Security Council because Israel gets off rather light in the United Nations Security Council. The fact that there's no inquiry into Russia or into the United States is obviously explained by the fact that those countries dominate not only the Security Council, but also have a huge amount of political influence in bodies like the Human Rights Council.
Professor,
and we unfortunately live with that as a reality in the world situation.
Professor Shaybas, thank you for joining us and good luck.
Thank you.